Right, we are back with another Resin Art experiment. Some of you who have been here with me for quite some time would remember way back, hashtag 154 and hashtag 155. We made our own Sinker White alcohol ink. Now, the way we did that is that we used a white pigment paste and we blended this down with 30% acetone and then 70% of isopropyl alcohol. Now, what I want to try today is doing the same thing with our titanium dioxide. It's just a powder form. This is essentially what white pigment paste and Sinker alcohol inks are made from. I'm going to try and do it today with just the powder and another special ingredient. So, the pigment paste, it contains, like I mentioned, a titanium dioxide, but it also contains a binder, which is normally resin. Not both parts, just the one part. And it's basically mixed into a very, very fine paste. So what we found when we did the last experiment is that I had to use acetone to break down it was mainly the binder, because alcohol alone wouldn't do it. If you haven't seen that video, go and watch it. It will make a lot more sense. So essentially what I want to do is skip out the acetone, skip out the pigment paste, and this time we are going to be using hairspray as a binder. Now, I was chatting to one of my friends on a different platform. She makes cups and tumblers, and she has made alcohol inks using hairspray as a binder. So I'm hoping this works, and you'll see exactly what I'm doing. I'll show it step by step, and hopefully we can make a very, very quick sinking alcohol ink for our Petri effect. I just don't know which order I need to add the hairspray in, but what I want to do first is see how the powder reacts with the alcohol on its own. Actually, I did it with a mica spoon last time. And of course, I can't find that mica spoon. I have this one instead, but I did find my funnel. I was looking for that in the last video. So I'm going to take a scoop of my titanium dioxide. I'm going to pop that. That doesn't look enough. I'm going to add another small scoop of the titanium dioxide. And my alcohol is 99.9% isopropyl. I don't want to add too much. I just want to see how it blends as it is. I just take a stick. I know my Sinker alcohol inks by now, so I kind of know what they should look like. And yeah, I can see a difference already. It's very bitty. I can't really show you the bottom of the cup, but there's it's very powdery at the bottom. So what should happen is it should all really mix together and become one. Let me try and pour some of that out so you can see better. See at the bottom there, it's quite bitty. Now this, if it works, is going to help so many people. So many people. I know what you're thinking, but it's not in a bottle with a ball bearing, but I know my inks. That's not right. So let's try. I'm going to squirt some of my hairspray into the cup first, just so that there's like a liquid form. Then I think this should work. We're going to end up with a paste like a pigment paste essentially. So I'm going to mix those two things together. The hairspray that you can see is turning into a pigment paste. So I'm hoping I'm not going to need the acetone to break this down. I'm hoping it is just going to blend together. A stick's not really the best thing to use, is it, Dan? Not one like this anyway. You know what I'm like? Okay. I'm just going to mix that until there's no more lumpy bits. There's still lumpy bits, but I'm worried that the hairspray is going to evaporate. Now in goes the alcohol. And now I'm going to mix that up, and hopefully it won't be as bitty. It will all just blend together to make a nice sinker alcohol ink. It's looking better, but I think I needed more hairspray and more mixing to begin with, because there are still some bits in the bottom. So I'm going to set this aside and try again and get something different than a toothpick. Before I do though, there is a difference if you look. If I tip the cups, you see the way the one with the hairspray is clinging to the, see what it's doing? It's clinging to the cup and staining it with the pigment. The one without the hairspray, this is just the titanium dioxide and alcohol. It's not doing that. You know when you're using your Sinker alcohol ink and you drop it on your mold, it evaporates very quickly and leaves that stain. That's what this is doing. So it's telling me I'm on the right path. I don't actually think I'm going to mix up anymore. I'm going to go ahead with this one that I've just made. I'm going to put a bit more alcohol in there because I have some bottles that are 10ml precision bottles. So I'm going to pour that into a precision bottle, add a ball bearing, and then test it as it is. So again, that was a bit of a spray of hairspray, 2 of these, 2 spoonfuls, and then up to the 10ml mark on my cup with 99.9% isopropyl. Now, depending on the viscosity of your resin, I said in that previous video as well, you may have to adjust the amount of titanium dioxide you've got in there. So if you've got a lower viscosity resin than what I'm using, I use a medium, you might only need 1 scoop. So, and you'll know that because when it comes to demolding your pieces, there's going to be lots of blobs where it's sunk too deep through your resin and blobbed on the surface of the mold, which is not what we want. We want a more controlled Petri. So it's all about, again, finding that balance. Before I transfer it, I am just going to make sure those clumpy bits have gone. Splashing it everywhere. And then using my funnel, I can then transfer that to my bottle. Like so. Well, that was up to the 10ml line and it's not filled the bottle, but it will do. And then I put in one of my small metal ball bearings and put the lid on. So that will now help really stir up those ingredients when I shake it. Right, it is time to put this stuff to the test. We are using the Daniel Cooper Lex Resin Collab Resin for this. Best resin for the Petri effect, of course, because my name's on the box. Again, this is a medium viscosity 1-1. Just going to mix up some, get it poured, and then we're going to drop our inks. What I'm actually going to do is a comparison. So we are going to add 2 of the scoops of the titanium dioxide. Again, top that up with just alcohol, no hairspray, and this will give us a good idea of seeing how the hairspray makes a difference, if that makes sense. So at least we can kind of see exactly, where's my mark there, exactly what the hairspray is doing to this mixture as a binder. So I'm going to mix that up, stick it in my bottle, then we're going to drop our inks. As always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks, and to all my subscribers. It is free. Hit that button for me. Right, my resin is poured on the left. These ones are going to be hairspray. These ones are going to be just the alcohol sinkers. And we're just going to be using the Let's Resin 26 alcohol ink set. Obviously not all of them. I didn't have enough to fill that one, so we're going to have an additional hairspray one, which I think are going to be the best anyway. So I'm just using the 4 colours really. I might go in with more, but I'm going to speed this bit up. Okay, so first of all we are going in with the normal, just alcohol and titanium dioxide. I will know when as soon as this, oh look, my tip come out. As soon as this hits the resin and the inks, I'll know just how good or bad this one is going to be. Yeah, you can see that it's very, very, very different to our normal sinker white. You'd normally see these go a bit more pastel-like and really spread around and dance on the surface, and that hasn't done that. So for the hairspray version, I'm really hoping this does what I want it to do. That is much better. Look at that. That is how a sinker normally reacts as soon as it hits that resin and the other inks. But is there enough titanium dioxide? That will be, we're not going to know until we demold it. Might as well do the one above it whilst I'm here. So I tend to just drop 1 drop per colour that's in the resin. But then that also depends on negative space. If I want less negative space, I'll add a bit more to try and push the colour out. So back to the non-hairspray one for the right hand heart. And so that looks like it's pushing them out a bit better this time. But you can see it's very bitty. So I don't know. I think I'm going to see how it goes, come back in an hour for the stir, and then if I need to adjust it, I'll quickly adjust it, and then we'll see the difference afterwards. But going back to these 2 ovals, the one without the hairspray in is very, very translucent. I was turning into Sean Connery today. Shaken, not stirred. Is very translucent. I can see through. I don't know whether you can on camera. Let me see if I can get the stick underneath. You see the stick moving underneath the surface there? I'll try and zoom it in when it comes to editing. Whereas the left hand one is opaque. You can't see the stick. So the binder is helping the pigments network in a way and stay on the back of the piece very, very differently to just the alcohol has kind of dispersed the pigment across the surface and it's scattered. And I think if there are going to be any effects, it could potentially just be around the outside. Whereas this one, it's evenly over the whole surface because that hairspray is working as a binder, like I mentioned. Going back to the hearts, pretty much the same thing. I mean, this one come out a little bit better this time, but in some areas it's still quite translucent, whereas this one is more opaque and blended in. Again, those pigments are networked across the surface of the resin and not scattered like they are in these. Well, I'll see you in 1 hour. Before the 1 hour stir, for those who don't know about the Petri effect, there was no waiting with this resin. You literally just mix your resin and pour it, then you add your ink straight away. It has been 1 hour and it is ready to do the stir. So if this works, I'm really excited, because what this could mean is we could essentially make mica powder based alcohol inks that don't separate on the surface of our resin. A lot more needs testing if it does work, but it definitely opens a lot more doors of opportunity for this, for the Petri effect anyway. So I'm going to stir them all. So even the ones that I'm certain the Petri effect is probably just around the outside, they're still going to look good. They're not going to look terrible, but it's not going to be what we want. So I'm going to continue just doing my usual swirls all over them, and I'll see you for the exciting part. So I was just getting ready to go home. It's been about 2 hours since I used these, and they've just been sitting there. Whoops, sorry for the bubble. And you can see the difference. The left one is the one with the hairspray, and the right one is just the alcohol. So most of the titanium dioxide in the alcohol one has sunk, but the one on the left with the hairspray, you can see there's a huge difference. It's taken a lot longer for those pigments to sink and settle in the bottom, which is typical with a sinker alcohol ink. Sometimes it can take a few hours for those to sink. So it's definitely doing its job in keeping the pigments a bit more elevated, and like I mentioned before, like a structure network of powder or pigments, whatever you want to call them. I thought I'd share that anyway. It was interesting. What I'm going to quickly do is give them both a shake up. I was going to go home and do a hyperlapse just so you can see the difference. It's like Christmas. I can't wait to see these. Fingers crossed. So the hyperlapse you just saw was only over 10 minutes. I'm hoping it showed up on camera. Let's start with the little one. The little one that wasn't full up. As always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment, even if it's just a smiley face. And if you haven't subbed, hit that button for me. See like a face in there. A weird face. Oh, that was okay. So we got something in there, but it's just powdery. I mean, it's worked as a sinker. This is just the alcohol, no hairspray in this one. But it's not our typical Petri. Loving that colour though. Okay, let's go with, what should we do? Should we do, oh, I don't know where to go. We're going to go with this one. So this one was with the hairspray. Okay, so you can see there is still some of that powdery effect. So I think a little bit more hairspray, if you get that. I don't think I need to run the experiment again though, with more hairspray. I think just a little bit more will help that bind a little bit better. But that is success, which is why I'm not going to do it again. That is beautiful. Okay, let's go with the non-hairspray heart. I'm expecting very similar to the first small one. Yeah. All that kind of powdery stuff, titanium dioxide, and it kind of takes away the color. Let's compare it next to the one with the hairspray. I mean, you can see a difference, can't you? Yeah, definitely just a dash more of the hairspray, but the color is showing through a lot more because it's less powdery than this one. That is absolutely gorgeous. Had a bit of muddying with the colors in the center, but it doesn't matter. Wow, look at that. So it's definitely working. Definitely. Right, these are the two. Obviously we know how this one's probably going to have gone. I don't think that colour's going to be showing through. You can see some patches there as well. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, look, I mean, as soon as I cover the back, it's just taken over with that cloudy powder. But as soon as you remove it, it's just very patchy, isn't it? Okay, last one. Definitely need to play around with this a little bit more, maybe with mica powders next, or neon powders. Much better. Not as vibrant as I'd want it to be. The back is telling me it's gonna be, but then the front is not so much. But like that, it's really colourful. I wonder what that would look like on a pendant bezel. I did do some others on the side with a different mixture. I mixed up for a different platform. That looks really nice. I'll show you those actually now, because one of them was stunning. I mean, look at that. I did a completely different mixture, and I think what I did is I must have put in a bit more hairspray because I haven't got as much of the powdering. Look at the way that glows up. It's like fire. And there were two more, just ovals, and these were all with the hairspray. It had a bit around the sides, but I mean it definitely does work. Right, I hope you enjoyed that experiment. I'm chuffed with that. We can only get better from there. Get a scattering effect in there as well. I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.